Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this week's Inspiring School Counselors podcast. I'm Matt Fleck, along with my colleague Amy Porteous from Inspire Success. We are sadly counting down to our final few podcast episodes, which we'll explain in a few minutes, but continuing to find some exceptional school counselors whose stories we just have to share with you. This week, Amy talks with Nancy Fernandez of Chicago Public Schools about how the implementation of a comprehensive counseling model can truly make a difference.
My last 7 years, I've been at Brighton Park, which is actually where I earned RAMP for the school counseling program there. Mm-hmm. And that's how I did a lot of learning and learned a lot to really identify what those needs are and what are the best supports that we can provide, because we do have a lot of kids.
Yeah, you sure do. You're a school counselor of the year, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
I was surprised and shocked and excited.
I bet. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, well, so far it's been really great. I've met so many people from the Illinois School Counselor Association as a result. Just having that acknowledgement or that recognition has been amazing because you get I've been able to present at conferences.
That's awesome. So the whole experience is kind of transformative, huh?
Yeah, I definitely think so. At least for me, it has been. It definitely has been. And I really, a lot of our jobs, we have to advocate for our role, right? And so being able to just be in a leadership limelight is a great opportunity to even advocate further, outside of your school building. So it's been great.
What are some of the resources you would say no school counselor should be without this?
Well, I always need chocolate at the end of the day. Peanut M&Ms are my favorite, but I think any chocolate, that's I have a tendency of that's how my day ends. And when you have that bite of chocolate, it's just so calming.
Well, I know quite a few school counselors that would agree with you on that. And if it's not peanut M&Ms, it's something similar, I would guess.
Yes.
End of a day.
But sometimes I'll have a Boston cream from Dunkin' Donuts.
That sounds good too. How do you use data to advocate? How do you use data to advocate for our profession?
Yes. So I'll give you this example that I have for my new school. Actually, the previous school counselor that used to be there before was still doing test coordinating duties. And, we all know that those are not counselor role duties. And so one of the requests that I had when I transferred was I did a survey of just how to see where our tier 1 SEL instruction was doing, how the implementation was working, how the students were feeling about the programming, because we use Second Step. And so just doing some of those check-ins, right, to see how it was working. And just with that data alone of, some students still expressing a lot of anxiety, some students not necessarily remembering or knowing some of those skills, right? So they were struggling with the implementation, right? And so just with showing them that, and then showing them even some of the CDC data of how the mental health of our kids has struggled from the pandemic. I think just showing that and showing what the students were reporting with the survey I was able to complete, I was able to really demonstrate I can't do test coordinating because I need to really start doing small groups. And small groups was one of the things that they were missing. And so far, I transferred there in January of this year. And so it hasn't been that long, but within the time frame that I've been there, I've already been able to run 2 small groups, right? And one of them was for the anxiety. And then the other one was using SS-GRIN for social skills for our 5th graders, which is what came out of that data. And so it's been great. And then also with that alone, we had a handful of students who were comfortable enough in disclosing their gender identity. And so now I have a GSA. I started a GSA after school. And so that was a lot of what I'm going to say was missing because it wasn't happening before I arrived.
Wow. You jumped in with both feet since January, didn't you?
Yes.
Well, but using the data probably just helped you to do that more efficiently. Like you know where the needs are right away if you are able to collect.
Yeah, for sure. And then looking at the attendance data, looking at the behavior data and like their grades, that really helped me identify, besides the responses in the survey, right? All of that put together really helped me narrow down who the best kids would be for those groups.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you so much. We like to end our podcast with some rapid fire questions. So I'm going to ask you these questions and I want you to give me your first instinct response. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. What song or activity helps you deprocess after a long day?
I was going to say quickly, but I get so many. Well, one of my favorite artists is Julieta Venegas. That's the one I always really go to. So she's a Spanish artist. So I'm going to go with that one.
That is awesome. And I'm going to request that after this recording that you send me some of her music that we can include with your profile because it sounds great. Sure. Who's your favorite superhero?
My kids, because they make everything feel better.
Oh, that's awesome. They don't wear capes and boots, right?
Sometimes they do.
So what is a technique or process you use at work that has helped you the most beyond data?
So besides data, I think being able to have that go-to person to either consult or collaborate with, and I really consultation, being able to have consultation with other members of the team or teachers or staff, whoever it is, to be able to process. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. What's the most unusual or unique item in your office?
I'm going to say I have like this little wooden person where it's like his arms and legs and everything move. And so like the kids play with it all the time, but it's like a wooden person that just doesn't look like a person because everybody always moves their arms and legs all in awkward places. And that's how they always stay. So yeah.
So it's just a stress reliever for kids while they're talking.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And I think I know the answer to this, but what candy do you have on your desk?
My M&Ms, my peanut M&Ms.
And do you have candy for your students?
Sometimes that's just, since we're a healthy school, so sometimes I try to sneak it in there for them because I know they need it too. Sure. But other than that, we try to have more healthy snacks for them, and then they get mad at me that I'm eating my M&Ms.
Totally understand that. Well, good job, Nancy. It was really a joy meeting you. I really appreciate the time you've given us. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
As we mentioned briefly at the beginning of the podcast, Nancy is one of the last inspiring school counselors we will be featuring on this podcast. That's because the generous funding we've had for the podcast over the last several years is going away this summer. We can always hope that maybe you know of someone who would love to sponsor the podcast to keep it going. And if so, feel free to contact us via our podcast website. That's inspiresuccess.org/podcast, where you can also find past podcast episodes and tons of resources provided by the many school counselors we've featured over the years. Note that we're not done yet, so be sure to join us again for the next Inspiring School Counselors podcast. So long.